Hello and welcome to News Central now on News Central Television with me, Blessings Mosugu. The headlines. APC-PDP stage protest at River State Independent Electoral Commission office. Educators demand better compensation as Nigeria commemorates World Teachers' Day. Authorities in Ethiopia deploy forces against rebels. We've got the details in a moment. We begin with updates from the local government polls in River State, where some members of the All Progressives Congress, APC, and People's Democratic Party, PDP, today protested against the ongoing local government election at the River State Independent Electoral Commission office in the state. The protesters emphasized that any voting exercises going on in the state is illegal, as this is against the court judgment recently given. Earlier on, explosives destroyed buildings and other property at the Tony Okocha-led Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress, APC, along Aba Road, Port Harcourt, the River State capital. The gate of the Secretariat and the doors were shattered by the explosive, which happened on Saturday morning while the local government election is taking place in the state. Now, speaking to newsmen, the chairman of the faction of APC in River State, Tony Okocha, narrated how the incident happened.
What we are telling Nigerians and the world is that there is no election going on today, properly set. There's no election. Okay? If there were elections, all of these people would have been voting. Can there be election when the court has said that the processes have been issued are fraud? Can the court, this state have an election without PDP, who is the majority party, and APC, which is the opposition party in the state? To tell you that it's a charade, it's just a sham.
We are here to express our displeasure concerning the ongoing election. We are not part of the election and we will not be part of it. We just want to let the public know that if you can see the crowd, this shows that elections is not taking place in this state. And there is an existing judgment who says that INEC police should not be part of this October 5th election. And on what ground is the governor conducting the election? That is our message for today.
Now, there have been reports of voting materials being carted away while en route to the polling units in Kana local government area in the ongoing council election in River State. Voting has reportedly been completed in some polling units, with voters describing the process in their areas as peaceful. We also understand that Governor Simialayo Fubara was allegedly absent from his polling unit at Ward 5, Unit 8, Okpobo Nkoro local government area during the ongoing local government election across the 23 local government areas.
This morning, we have been casting our votes. We have a total of 12 units in this entire ward, and all the units has voters presently now voting. This is Unit 8, Ward 5, the governor's unit. You can see people are here, voters are here voting. They were on the queue before now until the downpour came. They had to come to the corner. But so far so good. The process has been very peaceful. Election is taking place in this ward, simultaneously in the various units, and we're having an hitch-free electoral process here.
Just a few minutes ago, I got a sad information that one ward, as they were moving their materials to their ward, that they were waylaid on the way and the materials were carted away. We've taken note of that. That invariably means that we might not be able to account for whatever that will come up from that ward, because this exercise is supposed to be free. It's supposed to be one without any form of intimidation, And we have been experiencing that, sadly. Sometimes you can't determine exactly how human beings behave.
Normally in every election, there's first that people will be dragging, trying to cut away materials. We have had 1 or 2 ballot boxes being snatched here and there, but now we're in a digital era. So snatching of ballot papers or ballot box or vandalizing vehicles that carried electoral materials and all that is neither here nor there. I know that at the end of the election, the long arm of the law will cut up with those culprits or whoever is found to be that perpetrated such acts of violence. But that is very minute as compared to.
Egbetokun has cautioned River State Governor Simeon Fubara against making baseless allegations. This follows the governor's threat to hold Egbetokun accountable if there was a breakdown of law and order in the state. The tension arose after Fubara intervened in an incident at the River State Independent Electoral Commission office, allegedly preventing a police attempt to remove election materials. The police have described the governor's remarks as unwarranted, urging caution and decency in the pursuit of political objectives. Now, our correspondent, Austin Azu and Ni Omoni joins us from River State for more update. All right, Austin, good afternoon. Hopefully we can have Ni join us subsequently. But in the meantime, where are you currently in the state and what's the latest update?
We are currently at Ataba in Abdoni local government area of River State. Behind me you can see the river, so it obviously shows that we just crossed the river for us to get to this particular community. We arrived not quite long, and before our arrival they have completed their voting process. But meanwhile we have some people to talk to us on how the process went, and please come forward. Okay, please tell us your name and tell us how the process went. Turn and face the camera. Please tell us your name and tell us how the process went.
My name is Ms. William Sunday. We did the election very well. No fights, no problem. We did it very well.
Okay, was there any issue regarding to security, late arrival of voting materials? How soon that you have completed the election now, and the election ought to have been ongoing?
We did it very well, no problem. The ballot box come peacefully. Nothing come and we did it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, please come forward a little. Step forward. Okay, tell us your name and tell us how the process went.
My name is Grace Samson Hayading. I'm from Andoni, Hataba. The election go well. Nothing, no quarrel, no fight, nothing. We do it very peacefully.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have heard from those who are on ground here and they did their voting, and of course they just told us quite well that the election seems to be very peaceful here. But however, we learned that the voting materials have been taken to their headquarters at Ngao. That's not very far away from here, so you can access the local government maybe after crossing this particular island, this river to the other side. But however, the places we went to in Kana, in Opoboni, Koro, and other areas within the riverine area, election seems to be very peaceful, apart from the few issues that we recorded that the voting materials that we are going to some polling units and some ward in Kana local government area were carted away by unknown persons.
All right, Austin, we understand that your area is currently peaceful, but looking at the pockets of unrest that have been recorded leading up to today, and you did mention that there are certain issues as well in the Kana local government area and some other places, speaking of the voting materials, but has any other area recorded any kind of unrest so far, or everything has been peaceful? Aside where you are, of course.
Like I said earlier on, apart from the ones that we just reported, we have never had any issue regarding to, security glitch within those areas. So it means what the people have been saying from the start of the election till now, that elections across the various wards and various units seems to be very peaceful. So we are waiting to get other reports that will contradict what they have said so far on camera. But we are still on ground to observe those riverine area and environs to see how the voting process is ongoing. So after here, we'll still go to other places to ascertain how the exercise is ongoing. Obviously, by now they should be looking at towards for sorting and counting of the of the results, and thereafter announce the result in each of the polling units.
All right, Austin Azu, thank you so much for bringing us the update in Rivers State. And of course, we'll be joining you subsequently to tell us what the updates are going forward. But we also have another correspondent of ours in Rivers State, Niyo Moni, who is also on standby. Niyi, good afternoon. What area are you in and how is it going so far?
Yeah, thank you. We are on Abba Road currently, and this is the road leading to the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, which I will show you very soon. However, I want to start by stating how deserted the roads are. In fact, most of the polling units we've been to right now are done with the election. While there's no stipulated time for the election to end, for the process to end, most of them had finished in 2 hours, some even in an hour. Most of the places we went back to, where we got to very early in the morning, they had closed and there was no one there, just the voters' registration that has been pasted at the wall. And as you can see, everyone is still obeying the restriction of movement and the roads are deserted. But just to my right-hand side here is where the RESEC office is. We can't actually go there right now because we've been restricted by the police. And if you just look at my right-hand side here, we can see about one police van situated there and some police officers just around that place, which was where APC and PDP held a protest earlier today, noting that the election that held today was a fraud. And we had the APC chairman for the state, Rivers State, we have PDP stakeholders also speak and mentioned that. And the truth is, if you see the amount of people who actually came in to this place, there were over 2,000 youth, elders, young ones gathered here today to express their displeasure that Governor Siminalayi Fubara has gone ahead to conduct an election that was not approved by the law. And the questions now remain, if that amount of people came out here for PDP and APC, then who were the people who voted? We can also confirm that most of the polling units we went to throughout today, electorate came out and they were ready to cast their votes. However, I cannot confirm that they cast their vote, because most times before we get to some places, they tell us, oh, they've cast their votes. Some places they say they just finished they just casted their vote, and a lot of other information that they start giving to us. But when we get there, we see it as plain as if nothing had happened. Some where we even see where officials, RESEC officials bring in the materials, all of a sudden we see that it's now been handled by probably party agents or some other electorates just in the area. So there are so many questions that are begging for answer. But of course, as the governor has mentioned earlier that the election would hold, we can say the election held, but what mode or the modality of how it held, now that's the question. Now the second question is, we've not been able to locate one single collation center where these votes have been taken to for collation. We've gone around most of the places we know around Port Harcourt here. We've not been able to locate one, and that's why we came to the RESEC office here. And even at the RESEC office, as you can see, it's deserted. No single RESEC officer is returning here, or even presiding officer is returning here. It just seems that the election held and the streets went aloof. Everywhere is cleared. So we don't know if they're counting it somewhere or what is even happening. We don't have that information, and we're still trying to get it.
Okay, that means it's going to be useless to even ask if there are any records of missing election materials, because now we're trying to locate collation centers. That's like the biggest problem that we have. But anyways, thank you so much, Nii, for giving us the update. And of course, we'll also be looking to see how it turns out going forward. But please stay safe. Now, still on the election matters, all is certainly not well within the Labour Party in Abia State, as members seem lost in the program of the state executive concerning the forthcoming local government elections. And while some members say the party's primary has been held, others are still hoping for the primary to hold. News Central's Chinwe Ugele has the details.
There are indications that the internal disagreements within the Labour Party is not abating anytime soon. While some of the opposition parties in Abia State seem poised for the local government elections of November 2, 2024, such cannot be said of the Labour Party, which now has two factions.
So there's nothing strange happening, and based on the timetable of the APSEC, I think Labour Party will meet with the deadline, and everything is on course. There's no confusion anywhere.
For the local government election, the All Progressives Congress has opted out for reasons of inadequate time for preparation, while the People's Democratic Party has conducted their primaries. It remains unclear how the Labour Party is handling theirs, even as all primaries end on Friday, October 4, 2024. Lots of party faithful of Labour Party have gathered here at their party secretariat in Amhara to pick nomination forms for the various positions of interest. Unfortunately, the party chairman is yet to arrive to the secretariat as of past 2 p.m. on this day.
I'm here to collect a form for a council since 9 o'clock. The party chairman is not yet around. They asked us to wait. So I know maybe something might have kept them waiting. Maybe they are holding a meeting for our own favor.
I think what they are doing is still negotiating and trying to put in one or two things in place. But as you can see, we need a lot of fastening up. We have been here since morning. The same thing happened yesterday.
Attempts to get the acting chairman of Labour Party in the state, Emmanuel Oti, to speak on the developments failed. As if the confusion of some intending contestants is not enough, members of the party from Aba North local government area are protesting alleged imposition of a candidate for the council.
We have come here to tell our amiable governor, Dr. Les Choma Oti, that he should please allow us to exercise our right of democracy, where we can go and vote our choice, because this third tier of government is very important to us. We want people that know us.
They took their protest to the government house in Amhara to drum it into the ears of the governor that they want to be part of the primaries to ensure the candidate is actually the choice of the masses.
We are the one that will suffer it when the time comes. Yes. What has happened in the state in these few months or years that has gone is quite unfavorable to all the members here. Yes. Other people have been getting, so let them allow us to elect our own person, somebody we want. Yes. That even if he messes us up, we say, okay, it is our choice. Yes. Let them not impose anybody on us.
Chief Press Secretary to Governor Alex Oti Ukohan Joko, who received them, promised to take their complaints to the governor.
Your message is well noted, and I will do a memo to His Excellency.
Hopefully, those who are interested in contesting elections on the 2nd of November will get a chance to pick the forms and express their interest. In Amhara for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
Many thanks for staying with us. Now, as Nigeria joins the rest of the world to celebrate World Teachers' Day, educators urge parents, guardians and government to celebrate teachers for the efforts put in bringing human development and social cohesion. Educators also use the day to emphasize the importance of teaching morals and values alongside academics to produce well-rounded individuals. News Central's Omolola Ololade tells us more in this report.
Children, they say, are the leaders of tomorrow. To become these leaders, they are nurtured by a set of humans called teachers. These teachers are saddled with the responsibility of impacting into the future of the next generation, hence the need for students and parents to celebrate and recognize the teachers who also shape the psychology, behavioral management, counseling of these children, among others.
I like my teacher because she's nice. When it's time to play, she plays with us. When it's time to study, she studies with us. It's not every time that we play in class, and she always disciplines us for things we did wrong. I like my teacher because when I don't understand a question, she always explains and she doesn't beat people.
While teachers put in a lot of work in impacting knowledge and virtues into their students, some Nigerian teachers believe they are not well celebrated, especially when compared to teachers in other climes.
It feels good to be celebrated as a teacher tomorrow, but teachers are not well celebrated in Nigeria because it's not, they are not valued compared to other professions. Unlike doctors and lawyers, see everyone valuing them, but teacher, they give that impression.
I love being around the kids, I love transforming their lives, I love impacting to them. And the challenges I have with them is class management. Basically, as a teacher, for starting a lesson, an activity in the class, you know how to manage the class, how to bring the children together, how to pick out the materials to use to teach, and that's part of the class management.
In spite of the challenges, some of these teachers express their excitement in facilitating understanding to young learners. They, however, emphasize the importance of teaching morals, especially as the country tries to revive its educational system.
Educational system in Nigeria is decaying in the sense that the values, the morals are dropping by the day. We are allowing society to influence the quality of education we are dispensing in this day and time. For example, exam malpractice has become a norm.
Contrary to the popular saying that the teacher's reward is in heaven, many teachers believe they should be well compensated for the job they do, as this will encourage them to do more and in turn contribute to the country's quality of education. In Lagos for News Central, I am Omolola Ololade.
Happy Teachers.
Joining us to discuss this now is Nguvu Change Leader, Wisdom Katna. Thank you so much, Wisdom, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. And I don't know whether to wish you a happy Educators' Day, but it's a very pivotal commemoration that we are spotlighting and celebrating the educators amongst us, the teachers, the lecturers, the professors, and education, as we know, is a very important part of a society. So we also understand that the salaries or compensation for a teacher is usually nothing to write home about. So we find that a lot of these educators do these things because they're passionate about this. How can this be resolved?
Thank you so much for that. Yes, education is very important in our society, and the teachers are the forerunners of this system. They are very vital because their role is very important in developing the next citizens of this country, of our society. And so it's very important that teachers should be appreciated and well compensated. They are doing a lot, managing a lot of students and sacrificing their time to do this job. So I feel like it's very important that they should be compensated. Their salaries should be reviewed, and other benefits, just like private schools teachers, they should also be compensated just like private school teachers, yes.
Right. Now, also talking about training teachers, what sort of training should be made available for educators?
Okay, so I think pedagogies should be looked into, educational pedagogies, most especially classroom management, emotional management, things like the use of technology in our education system. A lot of teachers, especially in public schools, are struggling with that knowledge of incorporating technology into their classrooms. So I feel teachers should be trained and updated on the current trend. We are in a technological era, for example, and I feel it's very important for teachers to be trained around that area. And again, the subject matter is also very vital because a lot of teachers that handle some of these subjects do not have enough qualification to teach those subjects. So I think they should look into subject matters and also educational pedagogies.
All right. What do you think that Nigerian government can do to change the state of education in the country? We've decried so many different sectors in the country. You've seen how highly deteriorated the health sector is, the education sector, different sectors, especially the education sector. What can be done to change the scope of things in the sector in the country?
Okay. I think I will advise the federal government, I would suggest, I'll say that more resources should be allocated to the educational system. More funds should be allocated into the educational system. For example, teachers' salary are not enough, and not just teachers' salary. We're also talking about the non-academic staff, even in state and local education board authorities. They are not well paid. And so these are issues that really affect teachers' passion and their motivation to do their job. Additionally, I also suggest that the government should also provide enough resources and support for these teachers. For example, in some schools, teachers are taking more than 100 students in a class, which is too much for a teacher to student ratio. So I think employing more teachers and getting them a classroom assistant to support them in doing their job, and also encouraging them and appreciating them will go a long way to support these teachers. And we need to also look into the enrollment of out-of-school children, because that is also important in order to achieve that quality education for all children in Nigeria. We also need to look into that. So the government should really look into providing enough salary, number one, prioritizing education, and also supporting teachers with professional trainings, timely training. In my opinion, I would suggest timely training, because I feel teachers need to reflect on, their profession, their skills. So timely training is good for teachers to be updated in their skills. Again, I will suggest that the federal government should also put in place strategies to hold teachers accountable for the ethics of their profession. A lot of teachers because they lose passion, so they tend to neglect their duties as teachers. So I believe they should be held accountable for their profession, yes.
All right, Nguvu Change Leader, Wisdom Katner, thank you so much for joining us to discuss the essentials of the education system, especially in this part of the world. We appreciate your time with us.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Now, as the world continues to face growing environmental challenges, the importance of youth in promoting sustainability is becoming increasingly clear. Now, with over 60% of Nigeria's population under the age of 25, climate change advocates are calling on this population of young Nigerians to engage in tackling the issues of pollution and climate change. News Central's Chidima Ona shares more in this report.
Nigeria is on the edge, with severe unsustainable practices heightening its vulnerability to climate impacts. With rapid environmental decline, urbanization and industrial pollution, climate change advocates urge Nigerians, especially the youth, to adopt more conscious practices to address these environmental hazards.
As a youth, I would say that there's a need for us to facilitate dialogue. Unfortunately, in our own climate, we try to enforce dialogue on government, but whatever it is that we want to engage government with must be a product of, the outcome of small interactions. We shouldn't disregard the significance of little interaction. Community meetings facilitated, door-to-door meetings facilitated, issues that bothers the people at the front line, at the local communities, that a youth is willing to advance. So this is the primary role.
Yeah, our population is largely made up of young people. So targeting environmental awareness campaigns towards young people is very, very critical and essential. It's just to say that young people are strong consumers, and the awareness among young people is very, very necessary.
More Nigerians believe that beyond grand and far-reaching ideas, environmental sustainability starts from maintaining clean and safe communities.
Generally, we do our cleanup virtually every day. But when we come to community cleaning, we do it collectively, not individually. Community cleaning is actually very, very important because they say cleanliness is next to what? To godliness.
Community cleanup is everybody's business. And the way we do it in this Lagos especially, we don't get it right because every day we use dirt. We're supposed to dispose them. The government should start creating the awareness first. For instance, like our youth, they pass through school. They went into youth service and all that. Government should use them to be creating awareness of keeping our environment and anywhere we see ourselves clean. From that, if they started from the youth that pass out from school, and even the ones in primary school, even in secondary school, they should be teaching them what cleanliness should do in the life of everyone. It will help us eliminate sickness and disease.
In the face of its environmental challenges, the strategic importance of harnessing the strength and numbers of the youth to spearhead the movement towards a sustainable future cannot be overemphasized. In Lagos for News Central, Chidinma Ona.
Now, floods caused by heavy downpour have wreaked extensive damage at the University of Ibadan, destroying essential materials and property valued at millions of naira. The flood submerged several hostels, with Awo Hall being the worst affected, where 16 rooms were completely inundated. Students' belongings, foodstuff, and documents were reportedly destroyed as the floodwaters took over rooms, toilets, kitchens, and entrances. The university community has been significantly impacted, and the full extent of the damage is still being assessed. We will provide further details in our subsequent bulletins. And now moving on to more stories, to security matters now. Nigerians have been tasked to unite against the rising violence being witnessed in the Sahel region, which is fueling insecurity in the country. This was during the maiden edition of the News Agency of Nigeria Forum, which held in the nation's capital, Abuja, with the theme Insecurity in the Sahel between 2004 and 2024, dissecting Nigeria's challenges, genesis, impacts, and options. Amadine Oyi reports. This report will be brought subsequently, but in the meantime, coming up on the news, authorities in Ethiopia deploy forces against rebels. We'll tell you more after the break. Join us again. Welcome back. The news continues in East Africa, where Ethiopian army forces have deployed in large numbers in the past fortnight to Amhara state, the scene of a year-long insurgency. The Fano, a long-standing self-defense militia for the Amhara ethnic group, the second largest in Ethiopia, took up arms against the federal government in April 2023 after it tried to disarm regional forces. The government declared a state of emergency in Amhara, home to some 23 million people, in August 2023. And while this expired in June, unrest has continued. Federal forces and the Fano are known to have clashed on September 17 in Debark, an Amhara town around 750 kilometers north of the capital, Addis Ababa, leaving at least 9 dead, mostly civilians. Now, in Southern Africa, people in Mozambique's capital, Maputo, say they hope for a better future ahead of the Southern African nation's presidential and legislative elections on the 9th of October.
Da oposição, enquanto o partido no poder, ela vislumbra de tudo que é do Rovuma ao Maputo.
Só para escolher nosso presidente, que é o Chapo. Mas, nós sabemos que ele é de fazer para nós amanhã, mas o meu futuro é que ele faz, não sei o quê, nos deu um emprego, nos deu uma escola, tem uma pessoa que está a sofrer, que compra as carteiras. Eu estou vendo aqui, estou a andar, não tenho um emprego fixo, mas eu quero que ele faça nós da manhã, que é o nosso futuro da manhã.
49 anos de independência, o país continua, digamos, do mesmo jeito. Então, com essa campanha, espero que venham coisas boas, coisas melhoradas.
Now, in North Africa, hundreds of Tunisians protested in the capital city of Tunis, speaking out against President Kais Saied's regime and the repression they've experienced since his power grab in 2021. The protesters marched along Habib Bourguiba Avenue, calling for an end to Said's rule and denouncing the attacks on freedoms and human rights. The leader of the Tunisian League for Human Rights, Bassem Trifi, said they came out to denounce the flouting of freedoms, democracy, the achievements of the revolution, in particular freedom of expression and assembly. The protesters are boycotting the upcoming presidential elections as they believe the elections violate the law and are illegitimate.
والشارع مش باش يسكت راهو لا خاطر لا سكت قبل 6 اكتوبر ولا باش يسكت بعدها مهما كانت النتيجه باش نكونوا ديما في الشارع وديما رافضين تجاوز القانون حتى مواطن ومواطنه ماهي ممنه بحقوقها ومتمسكه بحريتها ماهي باش ترضى باللي قاعد صاير باش نقعدوا ديما سايرين وسايرات ضد الظلم والاستبداد وضد العبث.
عندنا كان الشارع نجم نوصلوا منه صوته باش نقولوا ان المجتمع المدني ومكونات الشبكه هي صمام الامان لهذه الديمقراطيه التي سنشهد على قبرها قريبا، ولكن نحب نقولوا اللي احنا رانا موجودين الشارع حد ما ينجم يمنعنا منه ونمارسوا حقوقنا وحرياتنا في الشارع باش نعبروا على عدم شرعيه هذه الانتخابات.
Now to stories outside the African continent. Thousands have taken to the streets in London, United Kingdom, in support of Palestinians as the war in Gaza enters its 12th month. Hamas' October 7 attack on Israel resulted in the deaths of 1,205 people, mostly civilians, based on Israeli official figures that include hostages killed in captivity. Now, according to figures from the Hamas-run territory's health ministry, Israel's retaliatory military offensive has killed at least 41,825, majority of them civilians. The toll includes 23 deaths in the previous 24 hours, which said 96,910 people have been wounded in the Gaza Strip since the war began. Now, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has called for Israel to strike Iran's nuclear facilities in response to recent missile attacks. Speaking at a campaign event in North Carolina, Trump criticized President Joe Biden for opposing such strikes. Now, Biden had previously stated he would not support military action against Iranian nuclear sites, despite nearly 200 missiles being fired at Israel. Now, Trump contends that Iran's nuclear program presents a significant threat and argues that Biden is wrong to rule out a military response. The comments come amid escalating tensions between Iran and Israel.
So a lot of things are happening very fast, and, you know, we could end up in World War III before we get there. The way it's going right now, look at Russia with Ukraine, that's a disaster. Look at the Middle East, it's exploding all over the place. And we have people that, look, we have a president that spends most of his time on the beach sleeping. I love it. I mean, I love it. How can you not? I love it. We're going to have it. One of the things I say, we're going to have an Iron Dome. Why shouldn't we have an Iron Dome? And you see how effective. So the other day, 287 big missiles, ballistic missiles, were shot into Israel. Every single one of them was taken down. Well, why shouldn't we have that? And it's all going to be made in the United States. You know, it was our technology. It's all going to be made in the U.S.
Into sports now, the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, has approved a budget proposal of 17.6 billion naira for the 2025 financial year. This was revealed in a communique issued at the end of the NFF's annual general meeting, AGM, held in Asaba, Delta State. The Congress highlighted the achievements of Nigeria's national teams, commending the Super Eagles for their silver medal finish at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations and applauding the Super Falcons for their qualification for the Women's Olympic Football Tournament after a 16-year absence. The Congress emphasized the importance of grassroots football development, stressing the need for talent discovery across the country. Now, in line with FIFA's vision for global football growth, the NFF Executive Committee was urged to prioritize initiatives that promote infrastructure development, referring capacity enhancement and coaching courses, particularly for young talents.
Nigeria wasn't at the 2022 World Cup. For government, Nigeria cannot afford not to be at the 2026 World Cup. That is the expectation of government. Government will continue to support whatever support it needs to give. But government, speaking for Nigerians, will also expect that the senior national team will not fail to be at the next World Cup. When we look at what the calculations are, statistically, that window is still possible. And I think that the NFF and everybody who is seated here needs to restate that resolve and that commitment.
I didn't just go to the council to be a peripheral member. I went to the council first as a Nigerian. And Nigeria, we all know to be very resolute and dogged. And two, as an African representative. And of course, we have to protect that interest. So I really want to thank you all for your support. Ibrahim Busso, I need all your support.
And that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. Now, we told you that APC-PDP staged protest at Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission office. We also mentioned educators are demanding better compensation as Nigeria commemorates World Teachers' Day. And finally, we mentioned that authorities in Ethiopia have deployed forces against rebels. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Mosugu.